Hello, this is Dr. Regina Stone Hernandez from the Division of Education at the University of Mount Olive. And in this lecture, we're going to be talking about classroom management and social media for learning. And I want to advise everybody that no matter what your area of study is, whether it's early childhood all the way up through agriculture and elementary ed or PE or science, math, English, social studies, whatever your area that you're teaching, special education included, there is a place for you at the table when we are discussing social media in learning using technology for classroom management. So let's have a brief chat about all of this. Well, first of all, what is social media? That's one of those terms we throw around a lot and we assume everybody knows what it means. And so I took the time to look it up. And social media is basically websites and applications that enable users to create and share content or to participate in social networking. So it allows us to share content like information, but it also allows us to socialize, to develop a network, like a chain of people. And we used to socialize, have a social network when we would go to clubs, be they a bridge club, be they a tennis club, be they a dance club, whatever type of club, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, all those kinds of networks. Church is a great social networking area. Your place of employment. But now we have this whole virtual village out there, and that is what we call the social media. Now, many of us think of social media as, for example, being on Facebook, and that is social media, or tweeting, that's social media. YouTube is also a social media. There's a lot of media that's used out there that allows people to connect, and these tools have now kind of made their way into our everyday lives, if you will, what we call the vernacular. They're here, they're in our lives every day. We interact with them. They are not strange to us. And as educators, as instructional technologists, we look at what is in today's pop culture and what is in the lives of our students, and we say, how could we use that for learning? And so that's what we've done with social media. We've said, what can we do with that skill? Because it is a skill. Trust me, if you try to just pick up how to tweet and all that, you'll know that it's a skill. So how can we use that skill set and incorporate it into learning rather than fight it? I want you to take a minute and go to the Moodle for this class, and I want you to watch the very brief video on SubTalk, social media, and students. You will see that it is found on the course Moodle, and I'm going to draw so you can see where it is right here. So if you just go to the course Moodle, look for all students, SubTalk, social media, and students, click this, and it will take you to a very brief video. When you're finished, come back to this video. I'll be right here waiting. Welcome back. So as we continue our conversation about social media and classroom management through instrumentation, through technology, let's talk about the 4 C's, which are critical for 21st century skills, what we're trying to instill in our students, be they early childhood all the way up through adulthood and, independent learners. And these are the 4 C's: communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. Communication is right here. Let me go back. Communication. Sharing thoughts, questions, ideas, and solution. My question to you now is, can technology and social media assist in developing a strong communicator? I would say the answer is yes. Sharing thoughts, sharing questions and ideas and solutions, that's 100% what social media is all about. How about working together to reach a goal, putting talent, expertise, and smarts to work? 100% social media works for this. Let me give you an example about reaching a goal. Recently, a very close friend of my family, their father passed away, and unfortunately, he passed away in a foreign country, and they didn't have the funds necessary to be able to bury their father appropriately. And they shared with me on Facebook that they wanted to raise money. And I told them, wait a second, don't just put it out there, because they were just going to put it out there on their Facebook. I said, start a GoFundMe, a GoFundMe. And maybe you've participated in one of these before, GoFundMe. This is an example of social media where we're using this platform here, which is free, to start fundraising for a project. And so a teacher raised or a neighbor raised, and you can see what your goal is. In their case, their goal was $10,000, my friends, because they needed to be able to bury their father overseas. They needed to be able to exactly move him from overseas back to the United States. Very complicated story. But within 24 hours, they had raised $2,800 of the $10,000, and you share the link with only those that you want them to know about it. Now, as teachers, we can use GoFundMe to raise money for our school, to raise money for our classroom. Obviously, we have to have permission from administration, but a teacher raised $14,400 for the children in another country. So it's a very interesting tool for you to use, and I would encourage you to begin to use it, whether in your church or in your community or whatever. And I didn't know how to use it, but I was able to learn in about 5 minutes. It's very, very easy. It doesn't cost a thing. They don't ask for any of your private information. So if you ever have a need to raise money and you want to do it in a very, very professional manner, I suggest that you use GoFundMe. This is an example of how we use social media to solve a problem. And trust me, solving a problem using this social media is a lot easier than solving it any other way. Now let's move on to critical thinking. Looking at problems in a new way and linking learning across subjects and disciplines. Now this is where we tend to kind of draw the line. We understand how it can help us communicate and collaborate, but then when we get over to critical thinking, we kind of get stuck, because looking at problems in a new way and then trying new approaches to get things done. You see, we're so used to the instruments that we use in school basically being collaborate, and communicate. We send each other emails, or we text one another, or we go to the library and we get information, but we don't usually use them in a way that really is conducive to critical thinking and to creativity. In this class, I really do stress using the instruments for critical thinking and then also for creativity, because that's the real part of the whole 4C combo that really shows how well our students have mastered the new knowledge. But it's important to know that social media plays a very important part in communication and collaboration. It can also, though, increase critical thinking and really offer a platform for creativity to be expressed. So social media plays a very, very important part in all of this. Now, since you have already seen the video about proper etiquette online, the one that I just had you see, Subway, I want to let you know that there are actually standards which have been established by the International Society for Technology in Education. There are standards for students, there are standards for teachers, there are standards for administrators, there are standards for coaches, there are standards for a plethora of other disciplines. But I'm going to focus only right here on students and on teachers. We all have responsibilities that we bring to the table. Students have responsibilities and teachers have responsibilities. And so when we introduce technology into our forum, into our educational instructional process, We can't just introduce it and walk away. There has to be an intent, and there has to also be a way for us to see whether we are introducing it properly or not, whether the instrument is being used properly or not. It can't, if it's not watched properly, technology can be an instrument for damage. It can be an instrument that can really lead students down a wrong path. It's exactly like a motor vehicle. You know, a student who's not properly trained or supervised on how to drive a car and operate a motor vehicle can really cause a lot of damage. But a student who is trained well has developed a sense of responsibility and has received the proper instruction. That motor vehicle and the knowledge of how to use the motor vehicle is invaluable. It can get them to school, it can get them to a job, it can get them to the library, it can get them to a lot of places they need to go. So I want you to think of technology as something that needs to be supervised, needs to be taught properly, but the student also has a responsibility once they get behind the wheel. So IST standards for students. We want to be able to empower our learners. Students leverage technology to take an active role in choosing, achieving, and demonstrating competency in their learning goals, informed by the learning sciences. Digital citizenship. Students recognize the rights, responsibilities, and opportunities of living, learning, and working in an interconnected digital world, and they act and model in ways that are safe, legal, and ethical. We can go down all of these others: global collaborator, creative communicator, computational thinker, innovative designer, and knowledge constructor. These are all very important, and I expect you to know them. They will be on the quiz. So I would encourage you to pause, to read, and if you want, go onto the internet and Google ISTE standards for students and take a deeper look at these. But these will be on your quiz. The one that I want to focus on is the one that says digital citizenship. Because I just finished saying to you that it was very important for students to know their responsibility when it comes to the digital world, just like it does when they're driving a car. Students need to know that they must be held accountable for what they put on the internet, what they do on the internet, what they see on the internet, be it bullying, be it sexual misconduct, be it a political statement, anything. They need to understand that what is put out there stays out there. This whole idea that we can just push delete and make it go away, that doesn't happen, first of all. But second of all, in this age of bullying, we find, if you look at the literature, but also if you just have common sense, you'll see that people are much more apt to put things on a tweet or a thread than they are if you asked them to say it to you face to face. People can be cruel. They can be very, very mean, and they can, well, to say it again, they can bully much more effectively online, where they don't have to really own up, they think, to what they're saying, than if you were requiring them to say it face to face, toe to toe, eye to eye. You need to instruct your students to always know that just as if they were saying it face to face, they have to take responsibility for what they put out there in their name and for how they behave with other people online. So I would encourage you that prior to you starting to use technology in your classroom, that you take an opportunity where you explain to your students your expectations, what you consider to be proper digital citizenship, and make it extremely clear what the consequences are. And those consequences need to be immediate, and they need to be consistent. Now, we also have ISTE standards for educators. Again, here they are: learner, leader, citizen, collaborator, designer, facilitator, and analyst. Again, all of these will be on your quiz for this week. And I want to bring to your attention what really, going over them really lightly, what each of these are, but you can go on to the Google if you want. I would suggest that you get familiar with these sometime in your career. For the quiz, you just need to know basically what these are. But the learner, educators continually improve their practice by learning from and with others and exploring proven and promising practices that leverage technology to improve student learning. Now, remember, you are a learner and you learn through technology. That's what they mean there. You, the teacher, are a leader. And an educator seeks out opportunities for leadership to support student empowerment and success and to improve teaching and learning. You, the educator, are a better citizen. Educators inspire students to positively contribute to and responsibly participate in the digital world. I can't tell you how many teachers made critical mistakes in the last presidential election cycle. More so than any other, the social media played a very important role in the presidential election. No matter where you stand, that's not what I'm saying is the problem. The problem is that many teachers forgot that they continue to be teachers 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every single day of every single week of every single month of every single year. You're always a teacher. And when your students are out there, they can see what you've posted. And some teachers went out there and used profanity. Some teachers went out there and incited violent actions. And it was a very poor example to give to your students on how we behave as citizens. Is it okay for you to have your private positions? Yes, but you always have to imagine that your students are sitting right in front of you, and next to them are your administrators, and next to them is your pastor, your mother, your father. Everybody's sitting there, and don't just put things out there and not realize that you are always teaching, and people are always watching you. So be very, very careful. Now, a teacher is a collaborator. Educators dedicate time to collaborate with both colleagues and students to improve practice, discover and share resources and ideas, and solve problems. Designer, facilitator. Educators facilitate learning with technology to support student achievement of the IST standards for students. Guys, you cannot ask students to do what you're not willing to already be incorporating in your class. So if you don't have the abilities or don't have the skill set needed in a certain area, well, before you introduce it to your students, you need to have sat down and learned it yourself to some degree, but you can ask the students to help you. You have to be humble. You have to be a learner, like it says at the top, learner. And there's no problem with having your students teach you, but you have to have the fundamentals of the instrument down. I'm always asking my students in my classes here, hey guys, I found this new technology, more or less here's how it goes. Take a look at it and come up with ideas. What do you think we could be doing with it? But you need to always make sure that you are facilitating opportunities for your students to learn. And finally, number 7, it says educators understand and use data to drive their instruction and support students in achieving their learning goals. That is the premise of data-driven instruction, that you use the different tools in order for you to get information feedback and you modify your lessons accordingly. I had you take a pre-course survey. You'll also take one at the end. That's very important for me because that gives me data so that when I go to the next time, when I teach this course the next time, before I just simply upload the same course, I take time to modify the course according to your feedback and also what I have seen going on in the class. So that's how I am supporting and I am adhering to the standards for educators from ISTE. Now let's take a pause, and we're going to now very, very briefly look at some early childhood stuff so that our early childhood friends kind of know where we're going and that they're still included, because I know that it's tough out there for you guys in ECE to think about how this is relevant to your world, how you can fit in this conversation. So I just want to briefly give you some things to think about, and then we're going to move on and we're going to look at the greater picture. Some of the things I want to bring to ECE back to your minds are the 5 domains of child development: the fine and gross motor skills, social and emotional, the language development, and the cognitive development. All of these can be addressed through social media. My grandson, his mother works in the evenings, and so his father works during the day and his mother works in the evenings. The other day, my husband was over at their home. The mother was at work, and their 2-year-old son, our grandson, was walking around FaceTiming his mother, walking around on his own, and he knows how to dial it up, and he was FaceTiming with his mother. The thought that early childhood children do not use technology is absurd. They use technology. So if they are using technology, you need to find a way to incorporate that into the learning process. I remember saying to his father, hey, I'm so glad he knows how to Snapchat. Can you download a certain app that's free that will help him develop his numbers and help him read and help him compute so that he can do his math. And one of them that I love is called Duck Duck Moose. And he just kind of looked at me funny, but that's the kind of stuff that I want you to become familiar with. You don't have to be an expert in this, guys, nor do you have to have extra money to throw out the window, nor do you have to always try to incorporate it during school time. But you can, guys, learn to incorporate it in your extenders. And we're going to be using our Weeblies and Shutterflies, and that's how we're going to use social media so that our parents know that they can go beyond the classroom. Now, some of the things I found for early childhood were some articles. The Fred Rogers Center for Early Learning and Children's Media. Guys, if you want to be on your A game when it comes to early childhood and especially technology, you must look up and become part of that whole circle of the Fred Rogers Center for Early Learning. Interactive media refers to digital and analog materials, including software programs, applications. These are apps, like you put on your phone, broadcasting, streaming media, some children's television program, ebooks, the internet, other forms of content. I mean, it goes on and on and on, but they encourage social engagements, creative use by young children. They facilitate active learning. I mean, this is bullseye. If you don't believe that early childhood involves technology in 2018, you need to get on board the choo-choo train because we don't want to leave you behind. Another one that I found is one called, it's from Australia, but it's called Kids Matter. And this is the beauty of it, guys. Here they're from Australia, we're in the United States, and still we can look up and we can get ideas off of what they're doing. I like it also because it's very honest here at the bottom. Look, why ECEC services should not use social media. It's important for you to look up and see what they're saying about not using it. But I would really encourage you to take a look at Kids Matter, Australian Early Childhood Mental Health Initiative. They've got some really, really interesting things to say, and it's relatively contemporary. It's 2014. Another one, here's that Fred Rogers Center again. Take a look at what they've written, social media and early childhood programs. This is where you can have that communication, part of the 4 C's. Remember, collaboration, communication, critical thinking. This is part of your 4 C's for you to get on and see what's going on out there in the real world. Very, very, very important. I also found that it was very interesting, the conversation about UNESCO, the Sesame Workshop, the use of social media in early childhood education. You might want to check that out. Really important stuff going on. And the NAEYC offers a guide for social media use. So look up the National Association for the Education of Young Children, and you can then Google their guide for social media use. Very important for you to be well versed. I'm bringing this to the forefront so that you can see that everything that is contemporary, and guys, this is back from 2013, is telling you that we need to incorporate Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, photo sharing websites. That's something like Shutterfly, guys, photo sharing websites. That's what we're doing. Like they use Flickr, but I like to use Shutterfly. So Why are we doing all these things in this class? Because the literature supports it. It supports it. It's right there in front of you. It's telling you, hey guys, 2018, you want to be employed? You want to be contemporary? You want to keep your job? You've got to be able to get in front of this choo-choo train. Now, there's another one called edweb.net. You might want to look at that, Redefining Social Media, 5 Ways to Use Social Media in Early Childhood. Just take a look at these. These are just some that I found that I normally have floating on my computer. But the one I really, really like is that Fred Rogers. Very, very good website. Okay, now let's come back to everybody. So not just our ECE people, but everybody, and people who are going to be teaching science, agriculture, math, English, history, social studies, music, whatever PE, whatever your area is. I found in the London College of International Business Studies, now you're going, whoa, wait a minute, we're not business, but they had an article on the role of social media in education, and I thought, wow, this is something that I want to take a look at. And let me tell you what it said. According to this article, social media has gained credibility over the years as a trusted source of information, and also as a platform where organizations like teachers, etc., can interact with audiences, students, parents, and other teachers. They are seeing education institutions adapting these developments into their systems and relying on group resources and mechanisms to improve the student life. And the use of social media in education provides students with the ability to get more useful information to connect with learning groups and other educational systems that make education convenient. Social network tools afford students and institutions with multiple opportunities to improve learning methods. And through these networks, you can incorporate social media plugins that enable sharing and interaction. Students can benefit from online tutorials and resources that are shared through social networks and LMSs. And I will explain what an LMS is in a minute. The other thing that the article said was that social media allows connections with experts on various topics. And the great thing about using social media is that you soon learn who the experts are in particular fields and subjects. When you start following these experts, you learn more and gain useful content from them, and this empowers you to produce great results. Guys, if you graduate from here in your degree and you don't know who the subject matter experts are in your area that you're teaching, you're really behind, because there's no reason why you shouldn't be following these subject matter experts. Who are the leaders in physical education? Who are the leaders in agriculture education? Who are the leaders in early childhood education or math education? Who are those people out there in English education or special education, elementary education, that you should be aware of and watch them and follow them, be it on Facebook, on Twitter, know where they're going to be presenting conferences at, maybe there's webinars you can attend. It's really, there is no excuse why you can't find a way to be able to get information, get their, maybe every month they send out a flyer or a newspaper or a magazine or something. Maybe it's done via the internet. Maybe it's done virtually. You need to be able to connect. Social media promotes research. It allows the students to communicate. It allows them to be able to look up information quickly. Social media also offers learning management systems. Now, learning management systems, if you don't know what that is, I would encourage you to go back to the Moodle, and you will see that I have a resource there where you can look up more about learning management systems. But in a nutshell, a learning management system, well, it's what I call a prepackaged software program. Usually these do cost a lot of money, but they're a networking software that delivers educational programs and gives institutions other administrative activities. Social media learning and LMS can include instant chat functions, video, forums to share info, or other lesson resources to help students. Most LMSs come with built-in social media integration, and this drives instant interaction between the users and the system. The system strengthens student participation and makes team projects easy to collaborate. Now, usually these will cost some money. Usually these can be really, really expensive, and this is usually what people think of when I come to speak to them about instructional technology. They think, oh, it's another one of these prepackaged. Oh, well, we don't have money for that. And I get it. But there are some that are out there that are free or a minimal amount of money that you may find them interesting. I like some, I don't like a lot of others. I'm going to be honest, but that's my personal preference. I'm very picky about what I bring into the class because at the end of the day, the person who is teaching is a teacher, not the instrument, not the chalk, not the telephone, not the book. The one who's teaching is the teacher. Social media helps learners build credibility. What they mean by that is that you have to be very careful. Building a brand through social networks can help students build a portfolio for their career. Now you're going, well, wait a minute, I'm teaching ECE. Just hang on a second. The platforms can be used to start sharing work with this while a student is still in the learning space. That's what we're talking about there. You can use social media, for example, Weebly. You can use Weebly to share the information with the parents. You can have an e-portfolio to share the information with the parents as a student is evolving. This is beneficial to the launch of a student's career. It demonstrates the learning process is developed through the social media. Now, as you move down through high school and college, then this is much more in line with that whole idea that social media builds a career. But what it can build from the early childhood forward to the high schooler is a sense of citizenship, that digital citizenship, that they are responsible for what they put out there, and that they are not only responsible for the words they use or for the actions they display, but they're also responsible for the quality of the work that they put up, that it's reflective of who they are. So if you go back to those early childhood domains, you can see a lot of that reflected in these elements of social media we've been talking about. If you look at the ISTE standards that I brought forth, that all of us should be enacting in our own instructional lives and also promoting and facilitating in our students, you'll see that social media really does support them as well. So we're going to take a pause and I'm going to explain to you some things you need to be looking at for this week. Okay, what I want you to do now is I want you to go to the Moodle. And you will see that at the Moodle, I have uploaded several supplements to lecture. And they are based upon what I believe your various areas of interest are. You only have to watch the one that has to do with your area of interest. Let me show you where they are. Go to the page, go to the Moodle page, but before that, look at mine. Just a minute here, I'm going to show it to you. If you go to the course Moodle, you will see that I have uploaded several different portals. This one here says ECE only, supplement to lecture. Elementary education, supplement to lecture. Agriculture education, supplement to lecture. Middle school, high school content area education, that would be, for example, PE or music, or it would be English, math, that would be even special education, supplement to lecture right here. Classroom management apps is something else that I want you to look at. But right now, I want you to go on and I want you to pick the one that corresponds to you. If you're doing special education, I want you to be right here in the content area. If you're doing elementary education, I want it here, agriculture education here, and I want early childhood right here as well. So go on, and these are very, very brief videos, I mean, really brief videos, and just go on and take notes and think about what it is that you are learning out of this brief video, what it is that you see that you could use out of this in your classroom experience, in your teaching experience. Just take notes, and take notes, because you're going to be incorporating these into your attendance form for this week. This week, you're going to be including your answers to these questions that I have just asked. What have you found out? What's out there? What's this all about? You're going to be using that as part of your attendance form. So take a minute, watch it, and then come back to this lecture. Okay, welcome back. Now let's take a look at some of the examples of social media. If you go on and Google, you can find all kinds, but there's 4 that I'd like to bring to your attention. We all know about Facebook, but there's a Facebook classroom page that you can start, and it actually gives you some really good teaching ideas, but it's very, very good for you to start one for your class. There's the Pinterest classroom account, which is wonderful, fantastic, that parents can help, start a Pinterest for the class. Twitter is good, but you have to be very careful and mindful. I would go in there if you're going to start a classroom account for your Twitter. Go in and read very carefully. There's also Blogger, classroom blogging. But you can do a lot of this in your Shutterfly. You can do a lot of this also in your Weebly. I'm having you learn how to do a Weebly rather than learn how to do a Facebook page, because anybody can learn how to do a Facebook page on their own, but I think it's important that you learn how to start your own web page, website for your class. In this class, we use Shutterfly for School. I really like it because it really, that connectivity that it allows you to upload videos, it allows you to interact and upload pictures, interact and upload documents. It allows, there's an interactive calendar. You can upload websites, you can have scheduling for volunteers, you can chat back and forth, and the cool thing is there's always an ongoing documentation, archiving all of the interaction. And you can limit who gets on there. Of course, you as a parent, you can get the information from your teacher, but you as a teacher can also limit who gets on, because you want to be very careful to provide protection and anonymity. You want to, for your students in your classroom, you don't want to make their images available for anybody out there, because you just want to make sure you protect your kids. But Shutterfly for School, that's what we're going to be doing in this class, and we're also going to be using Weebly as a social media tool. There's other social media tools out there for graphic organizing, response cards, picture files, e-picture books. Another one that is very popular is called Edmodo. Up here you can see Edmodo. I used to kind of use this a little bit in our class here. I got away from it because it kind of got a little complicated to teach people how to use it, but you can create a free account. I would strongly suggest that you go on and try to play with it. You can get a free account as a teacher, but you can also have people join in as students and people join in as parents. So the 1-2-3 platform is really, really good, and it helps to increase engagement, connection, and involvement. So there's a lot of good stuff that it brings to the table. We just don't incorporate it in this class anymore, but that doesn't mean it's not still a strong teaching tool. If you don't know what an app is, an app really is an application, especially as downloaded by a user to a mobile device, like your phone is a mobile device. We offer an app here at Mount Olive. If you go to our main web page from MyUMO, you'll see that we're actually advertising for you to download the new UMO mobile student app. And this allows you to connect, and you'll see social media is there, a library, it gives you maps, it's very interactive. So even we here at UMO recognize that all students benefit from being connected using the UMO mobile student app. You can encourage that in your own students by downloading certain apps. But if you're like me, you can get kind of apped out and you're like, well, I've had enough of apps. So I have brought to your attention certain apps that I strongly recommend and I want you to become familiar with. And here are on EdShelf. This is another website that I strongly recommend, EdShelf. You can go in and you can see that he has listed these certain classroom management apps. So we've talked that this is classroom management and social media. These are, many of them are classroom management. And there's something here for everybody, be it Class Dojo or Too Loud, or, I love Socratic Teacher. Too Noisy, Kahoot is very good for math. But what I want you to do is I want you to go on, and I have uploaded these to our class Moodle. Let me show you. And you can see right here on our class Moodle, classroom management apps right here. I've already embedded them in a hyperlink right there. And I want you to go on, and I'll explain to you what you're supposed to do in just a second. But before that, I want to bring to the attention of my ECE students that I uploaded one that I spoke about before that I wanted my grandson to do, Duck Duck Moose. I would strongly encourage you to consider clicking on this one, Duck Duck Moose, to take a look at it, because it is specifically for early childhood. But if we were to go on right here and I click it, this website, it's Teach Thought, We Grow Teachers. Remember, we said in ISTE standards that we were supposed to be learners, constant learners, and collaborators one with another. And one way that we do that is by joining these different forums where we help each other back and forth. This is a place where EdShelf, he helps us with these different apps. And so you literally can go on and let's go, stop, go. You can click this on, and he will take you to an explanation of what that app is all about. So what I want you to do is do exactly that. Just go on, play around with it, get to know what it is. And I'm not going to explain to you what that one is, because I want you to know what it is by doing the following. You're going to find an app. You're going to choose an age-appropriate, developmentally appropriate app. And then you're going to go on that website, discover the product. What is it? Tell me what it is and what it's about. And then write a brief 2 to 3 paragraph reflection on the product. Upload to Moodle under attendance form. This is part of the attendance form. Remember I said, watch your required supplement lecture. Well, you're going to take that and you're going to take this, and this week you're going to write a little bit more than just one paragraph about what you learned. You're actually going to reflect on all of this information from the lecture. Identify your grade level, age level, class, name of the product, what app did you look at, the purpose of the product, what was it for, the price, is there a cost to this, is it really super expensive? Is it something that all of your students could have? Is it worth the problem? Is it worth the investment? In other words, what's the value of the product for the learning experience? If you have to pay $10,000 and it's just going to teach them 2 things, that's not worth the investment. If it's free, but it's too hard to even begin to explain to anyone, it's so freaking complicated, that's not worth the investment of your time either. But if it's something that really, really is going to support your learners, and it really is going to develop those 4 C's, right? And going to help our students to grow, wow, that may be something for you to begin to look at. So your assignment for this week, complete the attendance form exactly as I've explained it in this lecture. You will be including your answers, these mini assignments, these little ones that I put throughout the lecture, within the foundation of your attendance form response prompt for this week. Then you're going to watch, because I'm going to be putting them up, watch the week 4 assignment explanation, which will be uploaded to Moodle. Review the week 4 assignment rubric, which will be uploaded to Moodle. Review the week 4 assignment example, which will be uploaded to Moodle, and then meet with your collaborative learning pod on Zoom to complete the assignment of week 4 together, and then record the meeting on Zoom. You will have instructions on what to do with that recording. So I hope this has been beneficial. I'm looking forward to reading all of your postings, and stick close to your pod members, stick close to your SI leaders, and know that I am just one email away if you need me. Take care. Bye.